Alright guys, welcome back to the channel, welcome back to another video. If you do me a huge favour before we do get into it, drop a like on the video, subscribe if you are new. We've got a few more new faces on the channel, so welcome to you guys. That'd be very much appreciated. This is post-con. I know I said I'd only do like side units and side EZAs post-con, but I was kind of just chilling last night. I wasn't really doing too much. I finished playing some Elden Ring, which I really need to get back on streaming that. I haven't streamed that for like over a week, so I need to get back on that. I've actually really improved on that game, so yeah, definitely drop me a follow on Twitch, link in the description down below. I did stream yesterday, but I need to start streaming some more Elden Ring again. I stopped. I didn't really stop, I just kind of like, I don't want to mess up the chilled vibes I had going on. But yeah, definitely drop me a follow on Twitch, link in the description down below. I will carry on streaming some Elden Ring. I'm not even that far in, but I just kind of wander off and do my own thing. You know, that game's massive. But yeah, after playing some Elden Ring yesterday, I was sitting there chilling and I was like, what video should I do tomorrow? I was like, I need to take SSBE into, you know, some of the events, which I'm gonna do. You know, he should do really well in some of them. I have one more video to do on the INT DOKKANFEST Majin Vegeta in the GT Goku event. I was like, maybe I should just do that, because that's easy. I was like, why not have a video prepared for tomorrow, or now today? And I was like, that's just going to be easy to do anyway. It's just going to be rinse repeat of the Vegeta event. And not only that, major bonus, he has type effectiveness against the final phase against full power straightforward Goku, which is a major plus. Literally one of the hardest phases in the entire event. And not only does my guy have damage reduction and great defense, especially after he super attacks, but he also has type advantage, which means the final phase for him is just going to be an absolute walk in the park. So I was like, why not do that? So I did it post-con. And as I said, more of the same. Would it be more of the same? Yeah, it's more of the same. Honestly, this Majin Vegeta is very, very good. I do still stick to what I said when I took him in the Vegeta event, which is, I think he's a unit that won't necessarily need dupes in, like, you know, 6 months to a year's time, kind of like the INT Gogeta. I mean, INT units kind of need dupes anyway, because otherwise, you know, in free dupe, you don't get an additional, you don't get a crit. So having a dupe is useful with them anyway. But it's kind of like with INT Gogeta and some other units where you're like, in a year's time, these guys are going to age. They need a, you know, they need some dupes for them to still be, you know, somewhat, not viable, but, you know, as good as they were when they first released. I don't think that's going to be the case with Majin Vegeta. I do think, however, a dupe will benefit him massively, or some dupes will benefit him, but I don't think he needs them to stay as good as he is. I do think, you know, having some dupes will hugely benefit him in the long run. You know, especially one dupe to at least get, you know, crit off for some extra damage. I know his damage isn't the best. It's not bad. It's still pretty good. It's just, you know, not as heavy hitting as some units we've seen recently, especially when we know what's coming on JP. You know, excluding the year 7 LRs, because their damage output is ridiculous. But, you know, when you look at units like the transforming SSJ2 Goku and the Kid Buu, which should actually be coming quite soon on global, you know, when you look at some units like that, his damage probably doesn't scrap up to theirs. They don't quite compare, but his damage output is still decent. But I do think a dupe or dupes in him will be beneficial, but I don't think they're necessarily needed for him to be as good as he is upon release. Because he's still very good. His damage output is still decent while not, you know, ridiculous. And his defense is very, very good. Very, very good. Again, I said it before. I know this is kind of stigma around him, you know, being like, you know, defensively isn't that great. But, you know, he's good defensively. That's wrong to say. He's good defensively, but not, you know, he's nothing insane. He's very good defensively. Don't forget, a lot of these are performing with 55% in the dupe system. Not to mention level, like, not even level 10 links. Like, he took 150k damage there. Granted, there were some, like, extra factors in there. You know, he does have the 30% damage reduction from Trunks. He does have the extra 20% damage reduction from picking up 6 or more key spheres. And then the 50% extra defense from 3 or more key spheres. And we had a support unit on the rotation. But also, he did have type advantage, no item on that phase. So 150k damage on that phase, which, I'm not going to lie, I've seen it a few times. If you have type disadvantage, even on some of these earlier phases, especially this one, because this is where the damage steps up a bit before it, you know, goes astronomical against the Great Ape phase. If you have an INT unit, you know, with not great defense on that phase, or on this phase right now, that doesn't have some form of damage reduction, guard, dodge, they can take some serious damage off SSJ3 Goku. Like, don't get it twisted. They can. So, you know, tanking for 150k is still pretty good. And don't forget, as I said, I get it. Okay, I said it before in the previous video with him. I get the whole, you know, the kind of stigma of he's good defensively, but he isn't that great. He's not a slot 1 unit. But as I said in that video, he's not built to be a slot 1 unit. The only reason why everyone's so focused on him being a slot 1 unit is because he can handle being run in slot 1 a lot better than a lot of other units that he's going to be surrounded by, which is, I mean, I get it. Okay, I get it. You know, I put him in slot 1 as well because he's better at, you know, being run there than other units, but he's not built for being in slot 1. His best defensive scenario is, you know, you get 6 or more key spheres, you have a Trunks on your team, there's your 50% damage reduction. You've got the 3 already because you got 6 or more, which is the extra 50% damage reduction. I'm sorry, not extra 50% damage reduction. If he had extra 50% damage reduction, he'll be great in slot 1. But, you know, the extra 50% defense on top of the 1/8 you get at the start of turn. But then he also needs to super attack to then be at his defensive pinnacle, or at his defensive best. Because once he super attacks, he gets an additional attack and defense plus 50% when performing a super attack, which multiplies. And I mean, what's another unit we know that multiplies on super with attack and defense plus 50%? Super Vegeta. How high does his numbers go up? Quite a bit. So quite similarly to Super Vegeta, you need him to kind of, you know, get all of his checklist off, then super attack, then that's when you want him to be taking super attacks, because then he's at his defensive best. He's still very good defensively before supering, but don't forget I said that multiplies. When he supers, that is multiplied on what he has, which means his numbers, which why his attack stat shoots up quite a bit, his numbers shoot up. So, you know, there is that kind of small asterisk by him. But he still can be very, like, he still goes very well or runs very well as a slot 1 unit. And I know maybe you might be sitting there going, well, you've just run him with a Trunks again. You know, you've pretty much, you know, accommodated him. You've given him his full damage reduction, which, I mean, technically yes, but also technically no, because it's all dependent on orb placement and how lucky, you know, how lucky I am with orb placement to actually get 6 or more key spheres to get a full damage reduction. Which, to be fair, the orb placement in this run was actually quite kind to me. A lot of the time, I never struggled to get him 6 or more key spheres. Actually, similarly with the tech transforming Majin Vegeta as well, I actually got both of them 6 key spheres a lot of the time consistently. And even then, I didn't mind not giving it to the tech transforming Majin Vegeta because even without them, he still greatly raises defense on Super anyway. And he has level 10 links and he's rainbowed. So I didn't really mind not getting it, but the orb placement was quite kind to me. You know, as I said, on paper, it's an amazing rotation to run, and it actually really is. It's a lot of fun. Again, especially if you do have the latter of the two, or even both, but more so the latter of the two, you know, rainbowed and level 10 links, because that transforming one Majin Vegeta with those two things, you know, rainbowed and level 10 links, is actually just an amazing unit. But yeah, the orb placement was really kind to me. Really, really kind to me. And as I said before, it's not the best rotation to run because they are both orb hungry units, so, you know, you're not always going to get, you know, the perfect orb placement where they're both getting 6 or more key spheres. But it's definitely still runnable. You know, if I didn't make that clear in previous videos when talking about that as kind of like a small flaw or a problem, it's definitely still runnable. And that is evident in this run here, because not at one point was running them together ever an issue. Like, not a single point. So, I mean, as I said, I really do enjoy running this rotation, but I mean, Majin Vegeta is just amazing here. The INT DOKKANFEST Majin Vegeta is just amazing in all events. You know, unfortunately, his active skill in here, not as useful in Super Battle Road. You know, we can't stun Goku. We also, there's, you know, it's an AoE, but I mean, there's one enemy, so it doesn't really matter. But at least we got, you know, the big damage, you know, hitting over like a 2-3 million crit, because, you know, the crit is guaranteed. And then you get the crit for the remainder of the turn, which is very, very nice. So that is also something, but obviously you can't fully take advantage of the active skill here, apart from just enjoying the animations, because yeah, I mean, I said it numerous times, the animations on this Majin Vegeta could not be better as a Vegeta fan. They literally are perfect. The only thing they could have done to make his animations, it's not even make the animations better, the only thing they could have added to this unit to make the animations, like, yeah, make the animations better, but it's not even change the animations, it's if he had a KO screen where he turned to stone. That would have been kind of cool. But other than that, these animations are perfect. But yeah, the active skill you can't fully take advantage here. You know, in Super Battle Road, what's useful is you can hit AoEs, like, big damage with crits on, like, as an AoE on loads of enemies. You can also guaranteed stun them. Here, unfortunately, you can't do that, but you do get the guaranteed crit for the rest of the turn, so doing some extra damage is obviously definitely useful. In terms of tanking, I mean, you've been seeing it, you know, with the way this format is. This is a highlight reel of purely what MV does. Yes, he did have his 30% damage reduction from Trunks, which I still do not see an issue with. You know, if you want to run a full 200% lead team, yes, you're kind of restricted. You have to run a Kid Trunks, which, as I said before, there's some decent Kid Trunkses in the game. There's not many, and some of them are not, like, super amazing. But yes, you're slightly restricted there. But there is nothing wrong with you running a 200% category lead with dual margin Vegetas, and then having 1 or 2 units, or in this case specifically a Trunks unit, on a 170 lead, so you can run a better Trunks unit, so your team performs better overall, so you're not forcing yourself to use a unit that isn't that good, or maybe you don't have dupes in or something, and they don't perform that well, maybe in that specific event type, longer or shorter. There's nothing wrong with it. As I said it in the previous video as well, and I ran him again on the team. I ran a full 200% lead team. There were 2 units on the 170 lead, which is the Easy A Tech SSJ Trunks, just because he is so good. Would he perform better under a 200% lead? Yes, 100%, easily, obviously. But him performing at 170 is completely fine. It means the team is a lot more well balanced than bringing a Kid Trunks here. You know, that would have made the run probably obviously more difficult and a little bit more risky for him. And then I also bought the Transforming SSJ Trunks, the tech one, because he stacks defense. He's suited for longer events. So just because 200% leads are a thing, don't get kind of caught up in being like, okay, I have to run a 200% lead team. Because obviously the 200% lead meta isn't, you know, a flat 200% lead. Like, Margin Vegeta doesn't get Vegeta family category, HP and attack and defense plus 200%. That's not the way they work. It's 170, and then if, you know, for example, with him, with Gifted Warriors, if they're on Vegeta's family and Margin Buu Saga, or either or, and is also a Gifted Warrior unit, they will be under a 200% lead. So don't get so caught up in having to run a full 200% lead team, because we don't even have flat 200% leads. That's not the way the 200% lead meta is working. So yeah, don't be kind of, I don't know, don't be kind of like, don't be kind of like scared to run a unit under the 200% lead, but then have a unit or two that's on the 170. Because they're still going to perform very well. It helps out the team be a little bit more balanced. And in Margin Vegeta's case, you can have that 30% damage reduction on top of the extra 20% you're going to be getting from picking up 6 or more Key Spheres. And it will make him better in the long run defensively, in not even just a longer event, but also a shorter event like Super Battle Road. Because there are some very good Trunks units that don't fall under the 200% category, like the Easy A one we brought. And for a longer event, yeah, the Transforming SSJ Trunks is very good here because he stacks defense. So don't kind of avoid using them just because on 170 leads, because they still perform very well. It'll just be 1 or 2 units that don't fall under a 200% lead. It's fine, trust me, it's fine. Same with the DOKKANFEST Trunks that come out recently as well. Like, he's very good. But he's sick. Trust me, he works well in both events. Let me know what you think down in the comments. I'll see you next video, guys. And push.